If I turn myself on, we'll be able to hear us. We're back in the Pigpen on Sunday night here. And though the tune may be chipper and happy, we are down and depressed, for our Gamecocks are in defeat. Another crying member, the co-host of this In the Pigpen podcast, now coming at you. Heavy is hat in hand and tears overflowing, Mr. Steve Roper. Steve, are you out there with us? Steve, you with us,
sir? Cock-a-doodle-doo anyway. Cock-a-doodle-doo. May have some Wi-Fi problems out here, folks, picking up at the Pigpen off the Asheville Highway. Yeah, we're still here in the Palmetto State, and no shame in our game, Gamecocks, none whatsoever. Hey, the best team won, right, Kevin? So congratulations to the Clemson Tigers and all of their fans. That's all I got to say. I can take it.
And we will not, has been perfected by their cult leader, say that we beat ourselves or we lost only because of our own misgivings, even though.
Or it's the officiating. Oh, it was the officiating.
We will not become part of the Roman mob and behave in such ways. We will, though, point out some things in this game, Steve, as it was.
You do realize it was an ACC officiating crew.
It was. It absolutely was. And that's kind of always been the go back and forth. I think in the 90s, it was that every team for about 6 years there went, and the road team won every game for about 6 years there in the 90s. So it was, it's always come into play there, but who knows? They may not have opposing conference officials this much longer.
We'll give our, some of our listeners that we know are going to tune in a few moments. We'll give them time to finish doing whatever they're doing. We'll change the subject just a moment. A game that took place prior to that on the SEC network was just down to the wire. Never, ever have I. Well, I've seen some crazy endings in football, Kevin, but nothing like Alabama and Auburn. Nothing.
I mean, Auburn, their fans are all happy. They're dancing. They're celebrating. It's 4th and 31. I believe I got that right. 4th and 31. And Alabama, which Coach Saban had maybe one of the most perfect responses post-game that I've ever had a coach said. He actually, you know, what part does luck play in? And he said, well, we practice that play every Friday. He pretty much pointed out, y'all have celebrated the kick six around here for nearly 10 years, but sometimes it's just who goes out and executes. And in that, a perfect route structure where they basically crossed everybody and had a one-on-one match. There's no excuse on 4th and 31 to have a one-on-one matchup of any course. Auburn's rushing 2, for crying out loud. I've never seen these prevent defenses. We've shut them down all game.
Much time. They gave the quarterback too much time by not applying pressure. If you do like that, that is 7-on-7 practice in the summer like these high school kids and everybody else does. That's backyard football. It is backyard football if you give a quarterback that much time and for receivers to scramble around and make a move. Hey, to our text line, one of my old high school teammates and friends from a long time ago there, Mr. Tim Kirkland's online there, Kevin, and Sherry Skinner. Sherry Skinner is also back.
Somebody is in trouble.
And,
Jerry Skinner Emery said referees suck. Folks, if you've got a comment,
tell us who you were pulling for, Sherry. Tell us who you were pulling for.
Yeah, folks.
Send Sherry the link if she'd like to voice her opinion. She doesn't have to be on video, but if she would like to talk a little bit and get some of these Clemson people riled up with her Gamecock opinion this evening, hey, have at it. It's a free society, and you're into Pigpen, honey. We're going to roll in the mud a little bit, okay? It's all in fun and all in the good spirit of Christmas that is coming up.
Yeah, we'll talk a little more about Clemson, all that, and Carolina. Again, that's our main focus on him. But you're talking about that was just a beautiful play in the back of the end zone by Isaiah Bond. Really nice job there for Alabama to just anytime you see a Tiger lose, but unfortunately, like it is most of the time, we're having to pull for Alabama to do it. So
Turnovers, other than well, we want to talk about Carolina right quick. We were in the Alabama thing, the suspense of that, and the texts are rolling in now. Sherry says, "I'd never pull for Clemson." Sherry, I am the same way. I've often said I wouldn't pull for Clemson in a checker game or a chess match. You know, that's just the way it is.
and out of
But
the
I
people,
am a realist. I am a realist, and I thought we could score a few points last night, and I was just totally disappointed in the offensive performance of most. There's two things that I did not like. Why in God's name do we have Luke Doty at a wideout, even though he scored and made a great play? But that is a waste of talent who should have been gone a long time ago to open up a scholarship for, my God, anybody. Somebody from the concession stand at a wideout position. Come on. Luke
well, you
Doty.
have to figure
Luke Doty.
you essentially started the year. We'll get more on Carolina in a minute, but you did start the year with a quarterback. Is he a quarterback? Is he a wide receiver?
Yes,
Is he running back?
he was the second team quarterback,
No, I'm
highly
talking about
recruited out of Myrtle Beach, the savior. He was going to be our savior 2 years ago.
Well, I'm talking about the savior before him, Dakereon Joyner, who heck of an athlete, but never really found a position in his time at Carolina.
Yes,
And he's your starting running back.
now
Doty's
correct
on
me
the
if
depth
I am
chart.
wrong here, and I'm wrong quite often. Well, I said, let Nick Harbor play last night. They're going to see him. I think I watched him drop 3 or 4 passes.
Well, and then
Correct me if
here's
I'm
a guy
wrong.
that's a defensive end playing wide receiver. So what can you say? You make a lot of promises on the recruiting trail. Our in-house colleague on the Prepcast side, Mr. Justin Henson, he over there at the Campobella Nursing Home or the Campobella Illness Center or whatever he's got running over there.
Convalescent. It's the Campobella Convalescent Center, and our opening theme song happened to have been played by the Campobella Kazoo Band. Zip up, zip up, hit it one time there, Kevin.
No,
The
we'll hit it.
Campobella All Kazoo, the Campobella Convalescent All Kazoo Band.
That's Henson and his boys playing a tune here for us and stuff, and they're finally, I guess, not sick enough to be able to.
We've got a version. We have something coming up a little bit later. I hope it's the Clemson Convalescents All Kazoo and Horn Band giving us their rendition of the old Clemson fight song.
Speaking of other close games,
a little bit later. Tim Kirkland text in. I don't know if you can hear all those sirens and my dog howling outside.
O-line has been subpar all year, and it's true. We saw in the first game. We'll talk a little more about Carolina here in just a second. We keep going back to Carolina, but one quick thing before we kind of go there. NFL game just got done here a few minutes ago. Heck of a game. Eagles and the Bills back and forth affair. Eagles winning in overtime. I believe it was 38-31 in overtime or 37-31 in overtime there. Heck of a game back and forth. Josh Allen just again, too many picks and too many times turned the ball over, and Eagles able to go in and be victorious and stuff. Here's some of my relatives on here. I don't know that we're sitting here looking at it. Unfortunately, this one, I have relative Glenn Winchester. I guess I don't know if it's because of the emojis or whatever. It's not allowing me to. There it is. It won't let me show his for some reason, but he said, how about those tigers with a lot of the emojis in it? And for some reason, Restream does not allow. We can actually turn the chat overlay on, and any new comments can populate in. But he said, how about those tigers? And we will. Let's go ahead and just get to them right here, and because that's the reason why we're here. We'll add a screen up here live here, and we can talk about it. Steve, these were the overall stats and numbers for last night's game.
See something you like, folks, tell him to stop.
Yeah. Last night, really, before we go much further, last night reminded me of one of the first real rivalry games. Again, we told Friday night on here that because I didn't really have a lot of cable until I was nearly in high school. I didn't get to see a lot of the rivalry games, other than the handful that there wasn't very many years that both teams were any good for ESPN to, or the local affiliates, that is ABC, whatever, to put them on television. So we didn't see Clemson or Carolina much when I was growing up and throughout the 90s and such, as both teams were under the Tommy West and Brad Scott reigns and stuff. But
Wait a minute
the
now. I'm going to give kudos to Brad Scott. I was there when South Carolina first joined the SEC. I was there for their first home game. Now, granted, my memory does not serve who it was, but for their first ever SEC game that they played, it might have been Mississippi State. I'm not sure. It's been a long time ago. I think it was 1990. Toby Cates was a redshirt freshman. I had press passes, believe it or not, from that university to a little old reporter from the Inman Times, got press passes, and they treated me the same as if I was from the New York Times. God bless them. But Brad Scott actually is the coach, in my opinion, although he went to Clemson, but he went where the money, he went, follow the money. You got to do that. And he wanted to stay in coaching. Brad Scott showed those guys in Columbia, hey, if you work and we recruit well, we can eventually win or compete in the SEC. Because I saw them get drubbed by large margins by Mississippi State, Florida. Who else did I see? The LSU came down there, and I'm seeing all these teams for the first time in my life. And I was, oh man, that's LSU, that's Florida, there's Georgia right up close. But they whooped the living bazinga and
the problem is, though, Steve. The problem is
Brad
that
Scott got them. Brad Scott got them to where they could win. God bless him. My hat's off to Brad Scott.
Well, the problem is Brad Scott recruited offensive linemen about as well as Shane Beamer has to this point. And if you go back and look at that 1998 roster, which was Brad Scott's last year, and then they had a ton of skill players that wound up in the NFL on both sides of the ball. No linemen, especially on the offensive side. They might have had a couple on the defensive side, but offensively, just did not recruit linemen the way that they did. Brad Scott was able to recruit skill position talent, but just no linemen. That's kind of what we're seeing again with Coach Shane Beamer thus far. Just at least there is some talent there. I think a little more talent overall than Brad Scott brought in the 90s, but so far they ain't coached them up.
Might need a few more coaching changes. Stick up there Nelson Edwards' response there if you can in the text line. Nelson asked a pretty good question. Can we put the OC and DC in the transfer portal?
Oh, I did see some of our local prognosticators defending the defensive coordinator, which, last night, as we said, as your buddy Tim Kirkland pointed out, Pickens Tech didn't score on offense. And, of course, then our coach comes back with and still won, as we love.
This back and forth. You know what that reminds me? I was thinking of that earlier today. Winning a game and never scoring an offensive touchdown, even though you got the W, and the W is a W, still a W is what those Clemson fans love to say because they've won so many close games this year and such. A W is a W. And they're quick to point out to me, and I'm quick to accept that today an L is still an L. If you're not, like, who was it? If you're not in first, you're last, What was his name? Bobby, what's his name? The race car, Will Ferrell in the movie said that. What, Talladega Nights or whatever? If you ain't first, you're last.
Bobby.
Ricky Bobby. Yeah, that's the fool.
So let's go down and look.
They still won. I want to get back. I want to throw back at JH right quick and still won. I remember one time that when I was in the 6th grade in Campobella Grambling School beat the Emmons Mills Red Devils 2-0 because we gave them a safety. And they celebrated like the Super Bowl. So that's how y'all feel like should be feeling last night. You got all those field goals, but congratulations. And the MVP would be the guy that went to the podiatrist today, and that'd be your field goal kicker with that sore toe that he probably got.
And again, folks,
thank you for listening, Justin.
Anybody that wants to get in on the conversation, drop a line in the chat. We'll throw it on up here. And
I dropped him a line earlier today. JH, I did. And I congratulated him earlier today. All of my Clemson friends, I told them straight up, congratulations, well deserved, well deserved. And in true Gamecock fashion, I said, what, Kevin? Just wait till next year.
Well, we did say, Coach. I did read all about how most of the Clemson team had the flu, and I do know that your house would probably
Oh,
identify with all that since they can't stay healthy.
why is it if Clemson loses, their fans say, well, we were up without so and so, and now they beat us, and they say, well, we beat you with half our team. Most of the guys that were playing were sick as dogs.
Well, I'm surprised that we haven't heard any of the tales of they tried to steal my kid and they tried
W.
to
Just
throw
put
us off
JH.
the top deck and
Yeah, well, I was waiting on that. Put JHSW up there. Just leave it up there. Let him. That's what we're here for. We want you Clemson fans to have your moment here tonight.
yeah.
You've had plenty of moments because we can take it. Kevin, you want to explain, as I was talking before we went on the air, why you and I can take it?
You'll
You
have to.
remember? Do
I
you
don't
remember what I told you?
because we've
We're
been through
used
a lot
to
of
it.
losses.
Yeah, we're used to it. We're used to it. So when we lose to you, it doesn't bother us at all because we've gotten bit so many times. But
Yeah,
I,
I am
you,
surprised we haven't heard any of this. I feared for my life at Williams Bryce comments last night, and that's usually also part of it. Somehow we broke up one of their Bible studies over in the corner there, and with our foul language and throwing of bottles. But none of those stories come out today. I don't know. I think the rivalry has, at least since the coaches aren't sniping back at each other like they did during the Dabo Spurrier days, it's kind of
yeah, that's
cooled
good.
off.
I thought both coaches did a remarkable job of being civil in this thing this year and bringing it down to a school versus school rivalry that is that will be taking place on the gridiron, on the field of glory, and for the fans really to tone it down because it's really the fan base for both sides, you and I included, because we trade barbs and we love to do it. But in other states, it's gotten pretty bad in the fact that, Auburn and Alabama has gotten to be a dangerous thing. I mean, Toomer's Tree, for instance, the poison in it. There, several years ago, I think it was maybe 2008, 7, somewhere in the early 2000s, somebody in Somerville got so upset over this Clemson Carolina rivalry, they got a shank taken to them down in Somerville. So look, folks, it's all in fun. I love Clemson University. I have kinfolk who have actually worked in Clemson University, believe it or not. I don't know if I don't want to say his name, but he worked with IPTAY. He was, we'll say the position. He was the assistant director to major IPTAY donations. He at one time was at Wofford College and was instrumental in helping Gibbs and Richardson and all of them help build all that stuff, in that process somehow. Then Clemson snatched him up. But I have cousins like Kevin. All our kinfolk come from Pickens County. My dad, Liberty, South Carolina. So I always visited my cousins in Pickens, and they love their Tigers. And they are the ones that drove me into being a Carolina fan because they love their Tigers so much.
All right,
Kevin's the same way, I think.
let's look at some stats here from last night's game to kind of give you a picture here. Obviously, the only stat that really matters is Clemson 16, South Carolina 7. But first downs, Clemson had 19 to 12. They were 7 for 16 on third down, 2 for 13 was South Carolina on third down. Just could not stay on the field. Total yardage, 319 yards for Clemson, most of that on the ground, 169 yards only for South Carolina. As we scroll down a little bit here, passing, this is for this to be the marquee quarterback matchup, even though Cade has really not had that great of a year by Clemson standards. If you want to, which it's hard to compare Clemson quarterbacks after you've been through
I don't think
two.
marquee's the word to use for that matchup. Clemson's quarterback still developing. Rattler is supposed to be there already, and evidently he wasn't there last night.
100 yards for Cade, which someone pointed out that DJ had 99 yards in a loss. Cade had 100 in a win, but that was more due to your special teams and defense than it was anything to cause either one of those two quarterbacks to change any of those results. But um, pitiful offensive performance for both teams. Really, Clemson did
Look at
have
those stats,
219
yeah.
yards rushing.
Looking at those stats like you're talking about, Kevin, that's what I thought going down through there. Clemson's usually, whoa, big yardage, and Carolina, even in the passing, even in the losing efforts, have put up 300 yards passing and things like this. And to look at those stats, somebody would say, well, it must have been a great defensive struggle for both teams. No, it wasn't. It was sloppy offense, really, by both teams. Drop passes by both teams. Neither one could, and I'm not going to blame it on, but give credit to either one of them's defense. Well, take that back. Now, Clemson's defense, we should have scored on them. They weren't that great, okay? They really weren't that great. And our defense, we know, is not that great, and yet they couldn't score on us that much, other than the field goals. So sloppy football, really, by both teams, if you
I
really
mean,
get down
probably
to
if
it.
you think about it, two of the worst. Somewhat. I mean, we're not Clemson people, and we really, to be honest, we haven't watched stats the whole year, but it feels like at least two of the worst offensive years for these two teams in a really long while. I mean, even for South Carolina, the worst I think I've seen them play offensively as a whole unit as a whole. The thing that was weird about all year is usually you see development, you see a star break out and be born. And for South Carolina, really on either side of the ball, Tonka Hemingway had a pretty big year defensively. Ewan Morey, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the safety that had the interception and stuff last night. They had a fairly decent year, but you didn't have that breakout star on either side of the ball, whether that be a talent level thing, whether it be a coaching and development type thing. As someone's mentioned in the comments, execution. It's hard to say, but offensively, even though
It was execution. It was.
a
He's
lot of it's
exactly
talent,
right. That's
though,
the word I needed to use on both
talent,
sides.
talent though is a big thing because, like I said, we knew after that North Carolina game, you give up 9 sacks. It's hard to fix an offensive line once the season's here. You are who you are. You do gradually get better on a week to week basis, but if you've got holes and gaps that big, it's hard to completely fix that in that short of a time frame. So we knew North Carolina, not known for their offense or their defensive line prowess to be able to get to our quarterback 9 times, we knew that would be a problem. We
That
knew
was
that not having a Division I caliber running back, at least we didn't know. Anderson stepped up the transfer from Newberry, but coming into it, all we had was Kerryon Joyner.
interject here. Anderson. Fourth quarter, I believe it was, he got slammed to the ground. He got slammed hard. You talking about hustle, desire, and instinct. He gets up off the ground. My man is wobbling. He's looking to the sideline, looking for the play to come in. He takes a step. It's obvious that he's disorientated, and Rattler tells him to get down on the ground. The kid probably had a concussion. I could look at him and tell exactly what was going on with
It
him.
was
That
heartening,
brain was
Steve.
it
It
was, but,
was heartening.
but what I took out of it, Kevin, was the heart and the desire, and what he had been trained to do was to go to the next play no matter what. And he wasn't thinking in the manner that I'm injured. I got to go. My team relies on me. I'm the man right now. That's what I took from it. Okay. Fighting through an injury is the greatest form of gallantry on the gridiron that a man can have.
Well, there was a lot of these Clemson prognosticators that were so concerned, Steve, with the health of poor Anderson. They thought we should have had him in protocol and should have had him wrapped up, and they just wanted to come down to Columbia and stop the game and defend his honor and stuff. And because they
Well, I
know
didn't get
better than
into that.
all the
I was so
trainers and the
excited.
doctors and everything. They know better than all those professionals, sitting on the couch at home. It's so good to see
Okay.
a rival fan base looking out for one of our players. It was, Steve.
Now stick up both sidelines up yonder. The
Oh, what we got? What we got? Who we
our
got
side,
coming up?
our version of sidelines has got a
Well, the first
comment up
thing we
there.
want to show him, he's got some things here. Let's go and say he did say that that's a good looking hat there, Steve, and
Yeah, that
I
is.
will
If you'd
agree
like,
on that and such. And
I wore it
and
last night, until the point where somebody in the district says, "Hey, take it off the podcast." I'll
yeah,
leave it on.
Oh, you're a fan. You can wear whatever you want. Justin Mathis, our contributor the other evening, says during pregame warmups, Beamer walked over the Clemson walk-on who sang the national anthem before UNC Clemson. Classy gesture. Well, we said it's a lot more civilized. It got very, very chippy there
Now,
at
wait a
the
minute.
end.
It's true he did that, but did they have a microphone in there close to hear what he actually said?
No, they did.
He might have walked up to him, shook his hand, the cameras are watching, no microphone. He might have walked up and said, "You know what, buddy? You really suck. Get a job, pack a grip. Get out of Columbia." We don't know what he said. He might have said anything. Where'd they find you at? Dabo's wedding wedding reception? Okay, that's a little too much. We're provoking you, Clemson fans, and you won't come on. Only one.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. I knew it wouldn't take long. There it is, Kevin. Put my man up there. He is my man. We've been waiting on him. Congratulations, Elton. Congratulations. We have no problem with it. We're so used to it, it doesn't bother us anymore. It doesn't bother us anymore. Like I said, last year, if I do remember correctly, after that 31-30 upset, Sunday morning, them and the First Baptist Church didn't have anybody in the pews except Gamecock fans. This year, on the other hand, every church was full from the back pew to the front, and they were all wearing orange. Hallelujah. We got that win. Oh no, I've been ratted out by what? Oh, somebody had a camera and a microphone in there. Leave it to him to spoil my joke. You've got a hell of a voice, man. I bet that's what he said. They bleeped it out. I bet he said, "I bet you wanted to sing like Johnny Cash and he wouldn't let you."
Folks, again,
That's a
we're
good
going to
one.
have, we're
Man.
actually going to have, let's look at a few more of those stats, and then we're going to invite a guest on here in just a moment to give things. Of course, it is from a Carolina perspective,
It's all.
but one of
Oh,
our,
wait a minute. Now we got to throw. Okay, but I want these Clemson fans to have their 15 minutes now.
yeah, it's their whole life. The Colts,
They deserve it. They've got 365 days to to growl.
And penalties were actually pretty even. 6 for 40 for Clemson, 4 for 30 for South Carolina, 2 turnovers for South Carolina. The killer being the turnover that went ruled a fumble. It was, I thought, a good after review.
It was a good call.
Good call. It was a lateral across the line. I think it was at the 42, and he dropped it
45.
at the 42. Well, it's at the 42. It was thrown and caught both at the 42, so that's a lateral pass, so that's a fumble. If it had been at the 42 and a half, it had been 4, but it was the trajectory.
There is no half, remember? Justin, he said half. Justin, if you want to, Justin Mathis, you want to correct him, he said 42 and a half.
But possession, really the thing that, even though it didn't, cause for whatever reason, Clemson seems just hell-bound to go and pass the football, even though they were running it down our throats. They still gave us a shot, thankfully, by trying to let Cade throw the football, and but they still controlled the clock.
Kevin,
38 minutes to 22 minutes in the total time of possession.
You said it. You predicted it. You said it. Elton said it. I said it. Everybody from the press to everybody in the world said, run the football and you win. And as Justin points out up there, Clemson said they needed to run the ball 40 times. They ended up, I think, running it. I think he typed in 46 times, and it was.
And if they'd run it 60 times, they'd have probably won by 3 scores because they couldn't stop it. They really couldn't.
Oh, near the end, they showed a little graciousness by taking the knee.
They did.
Gamecocks were really winded and tired, and if you really wanted to rub a little salt into the wound, that would have been the point you could have done it. The final nail in the coffin, the final feather in the chicken that you're plucking, as you would want to say, and half-yard line. So, and as Elton says, there's no such thing as a half-yard line. We have had this discussion so many times because I am a bad one to call a play-by-play and say it's at the half a yard or whatnot, but people still get the gist of what we're saying.
And on behalf of everyone everywhere,
inside should be the correct terminology, but Well,
We're trying to
you think
trying to get
Mr.
a
EC, the CEO, has the gonads tonight, and I'll be quiet and let him. I'll actually be quiet, and if you
well, I have
want to
another guest lined up
get
here
him in here
first.
to talk to us a little bit.
I have another
All right,
guest
get him
lined up
in.
to come in first here. I've sent him the link. If he'll join in with us, we're going to have one of our other broadcasting colleagues. Like I said, this is an independent podcast, Elton, so you're not the boss of this podcast. I just want you to remind you whose turf you're on here, when you
Elton, if
step
you
into
want to speak,
Pigpen,
if he wants to speak, it'll cost him $50.
But in our other ventures here, we do have one of our fellow coworkers here on the Upstate Prepcast family of networks. He is the lead play-by-play commentator of the Blue Ridge Tigers, and he is a proud graduate of the Greer High School and a
And
member of their high school athletic hall of fame. And I've sent him the link, and hopefully he'll be joining us here in just a moment to give his thoughts on he said he wanted the next one he wanted in, and I said, well, we threw it together at like 8:15 that we were coming on air. So JB, if you're out
text
there,
you
I
and I
sent
said, "Hey,
you
you
the
want to
link.
go on tonight?" Yeah. Why not give the Clemson fans their chance? And I don't know which way JB pulls in this rivalry, whether he's a Carolina fan or a Clemson fan. I have no idea.
I believe he's a Carolina fan, so we'll find out here in a minute. He should be coming his way on. We'll see.
I hope he does video because I want our people out there to see how much he resembles a member of ZZ Top.
Yeah, he does.
Yes, he does. Oh, let's see what we got up here. Elton's got a big ha 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 written. I'm going to get to you, big boy. Don't you worry. We want to hear from you. You bleed orange, and we're going to give you time to stand on that soapbox and growl like a tiger. You've got 365 days to throw it around, big guy, and we can take it. We can take it.
They sure are a
Just
lot more
roll
happy than we were after 7 years of frustration. They seem to be a lot more happier, than we were, in just 1 year, all they had to suffer for is for one whole season,
Yeah, we can do a season standing on our head. It's nothing in a pile of poo up to here. So the thing about being a Gamecock fan is, and the first is ironic that Trump was at the Williams-Brice yesterday. I think the last time that a president, could be wrong, but I do that one of the first times that a president was there was in 1976 during the election cycle, and President Gerald R. Ford was there, and I was
did he fall
there,
down?
and they brought him out. He didn't fall down, but they had the Secret Service guys lined up around that field, and it was awesome. And they strutted him out and they waved.
Those were back
They
in the
played
days.
Notre Dame. They played Notre Dame that day, and Jeff Grants was the quarterback for South Carolina. I forget the score. And again, help me out here, Justin, with this maybe, because I'm just guessing here. But in 1976, wouldn't Joe Montana have been on that Notre Dame roster? I don't think he
I think it's a
started,
little
but
early.
or whatnot, because I don't remember that. But surely by that time he was at Notre Dame in 1976.
Well, Justin don't know anything for 2007 or Chapman High School, so
Well,
we
that's
don't.
very true too. But he does have the availability of Google and tweeting. He is a tweet master. We're going
He
to change
does.
his
He
name
is
from
our
what to
research specialist.
tweet. You know what? He's a tweeter, and Elton and them call him what, right? Why don't we just shorten the two and just call him twat? Oh, we ain't thought of that one in years, but that is the best one. It's just proof presidents come to disaster zones.
Oh, we got at least
really?
one good Clemson person dinging in here tonight.
But at least this president did show up in a disaster zone. We're not going to get political. We promised that from the get-go. Justin says, stand by, researching now. So we're going to find out about Joe Montana. Remember that from Waterboy? I remember that old Joe Montana when the guy had the cross eyes, Yep.
As we were waiting, JB, I know you're out there listening in. I was
Come
hoping he
on,
would,
JB.
but while we're thinking here, he's trying for you. You know, invite some of your more. If you want, hey, let me know if you want to come on here on air and join in on this because we're
Well,
struggling to get our other
I don't know
people
how to
online.
invite anybody. You know, I don't have my Facebook on or anything, so I just don't have access to however it is that you do this. You know,
Yeah, we're going to work on that too. So
Tim Kirkland says that Montana was a sophomore, and I knew that he was. I was there and where the student section is in Williams-Brice Stadium. Then that's where we were sitting in the end zone there, me and my dad. That was the first Carolina ball game that I went to. 76. How old would I have been, Tim? 13, 14 years old, 13, 12, 13, somewhere around there. Nelson Edwards says, I think he was a sophomore at Notre Dame. Thank you, Nelson. We got there's Jill. Godfeller? What is it? Clodfelter. Jill Clodfelter Brown. Trying to get on. Okay. So he must be on his wife's Facebook page and he's
yeah, just
trying to
click
get
the
in.
link and it should.
That's
Regardless
JC
of where you are.
Brown, and we're looking for JB Brown.
Yeah.
Check it out, Kevin. That's JC. Mrs. JC, evidently. Joe Montana was at Notre Dame in 1976, had to redshirt that year due to an injury. And I had wondered about that all my life. Did I see Joe Montana play? Nope, I did not see Joe Montana play. But I
Probably saw Dan Marino play,
saw the
didn't you?
Notre Dame.
Because
He
didn't
played at
Pitt come to
Pittsburgh.
Carolina?
Yeah, but I don't know if I was there for that game. I
I don't know.
started going to Carolina games on a regularly basis, season ticket wise. I think it was about 1982. So I saw some of those good.
I think we
It was
might
the
be
fire ant.
finally. Let's see here if we're getting JB in on here. Let's see if we can add him to the stream. JB, do we have you somewhere? You may have to allow permissions for your microphone and such here.
The Pigpen calling JB. The Pigpen calling JB. Do you read us, JB? Come in. Come in. Red Fox leader to JB. Red Fox leader to JB. This is the Pigpen.
JB, if you can't figure it out, just call us, call my phone, and we'll bring you in that way. But
Justin Henson said, I'm trying for y'all. I believe he's trying to. I think he's like, I'm sure that he is praying for Carolina to get better every week in his weekly prayers. You reckon that's what he's meaning?
That's right.
He'll remember us. He'll remember the Gamecocks at this week's mass.
JB, I'm just gonna call you, buddy, because we're killing some time here. So let me just call you on the phone and bring you in on this way.
You know, we don't have time to kill. You know, this is an expensive broadcast.
Yeah, pay him by the minute, right?
Yeah.
Pay him by the minute, right?
Hold on, don't say nothing. Let me answer.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello?
buddy. Hey, you're
hello,
on there. You're on there in the Pigpen.
I'm on.
I didn't want to tell him that.
And it's not working.
Yeah, sometimes
How you guys doing?
All right, how you doing? What's your thoughts on last night's game?
It was frustrating. Of course, I wish we found a way to be more creative offensively when we knew what we were doing wasn't working. But I thought the defense kept us in the game, and we had every chance in the world to win, but we didn't. So just like y'all been saying, we just got to tip our hats and say congrats, and go another year of what could have been.
Just wait till next year. That's our creed and motto. Yeah, just wait till next year.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
I'm getting tired of that, JB, aren't you? I mean, when is the time going to come when somebody down there figures out, hey, we're always recruiting athletes. When are we going to recruit some hogs and start moving people around?
Well, the one thing, Steve, I didn't understand is Nick Harbor's like an Olympic athlete. Why not just send him deep one time and just tell Spencer to throw it up? I'm not the most, I'm not a college offensive coordinator, but I mean, I tried something. If what your game plan was was not working, you try something else. You know, you just don't keep trying to, do the same thing if it's not working. But anyway, it was beyond frustrating at our house.
Yeah, it
Now,
was.
correct me if I'm wrong, but Harbor dropped about 3 passes, didn't he? Was that him or Antonio Brown? What
I know he dropped one that
Go
would have
ahead.
been a first down later in the game.
Yeah, crucial, and it was kinda like on a little crossing pattern, not even 5 yards deep, off the line, so go ahead, JB, we're
But
listening.
like you were saying, it's like, I don't care how. I mean, it could be like somebody brought up Joe Montana earlier. Joe Montana could have been our quarterback last night in his heyday, and couldn't have completed some of his passes because he'd been running for his life.
Yeah.
So, we definitely, like you've been saying, we need to get some transfer portal. The first 5 calls ought to be the offensive linemen. So,
yeah, this got to be the worst offensive line unit that I think's probably been there since that late 90s when they went 0-10 and 1-9.
I was watching some of the Gamecock Central afterwards, and they had a former offensive lineman, and he was saying that the center we had from Yale, this is his first year he's ever been a center. He was our best option we had. He's never played center before.
Yeah.
So,
I knew that they had mixed and matched linemen all year long because of injuries, and then some guys just, wouldn't get the job done, and they mixed and matched them around, and there's none of them that are out there have started in the same position, I think, all season long. It's been a mixed match thing.
Our coach buddy
From
says
game 1 to last night.
give the Tiger D credit, guys, and we are. It's just the problem is the same problems existed all year, not just last night. Really, if it wasn't for a late comeback at Kentucky, we'd have been 4-8. There's just multiple times
when we went for it, JB.
JB
will kind of agree with this.
You can tell. I mean, Coach Henson. We can tell Coach Henson that hey, Clemson's defense did play great. I mean, I tip my hat off. I'm not wearing a hat, but if I did have a hat on, I'd tip my hat to them. And between their defense and our lack of offense, this made a very frustrating night if you're a Gamecock.
I'll be right back, Kevin. I got to let my dog in. He's barking at the door. Y'all continue.
I'll maximize here while Steve bows out for just a second here. But JB is just, again, I think all year we had a comment here that said from Tim Kirkland said that he thought the worst line was the last 2 years under, I think he meant to say Muschamp, but that's probably just a funny way to say Muschamp. But, yeah, I mean, things were bad then, but I still felt we had more playmakers and still had more time, ability to run better than we did this whole year. And even in there were bright spots where you saw real development and people break out and get better from week to week. This year, I didn't feel like we were any better offensively last night than we were week 1 versus North Carolina. There were just times during the year, many weeks where we would come out of the gate and score or score right away. And then, like we said, there was a point from the second quarter to nearly the fourth where we only had like 2 yards total.
Yeah.
Kevin, I wonder, and obviously as a Gamecock fan, we do this all the time, but you wonder what would happen, if Juice Wells is there. And I don't know if his injury is more physically or mentally or whatever's going, and I'm glad to hear that he's coming back next year. But, if you got a playmaker like him and you can get short passes to him, he can make plays. But obviously you got to play with what you got. And we didn't have anybody, Leggett wasn't making a play. We didn't have nobody else, a playmaker like that we could throw a little screen to that could go 20, 30, 40, 50 yards.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And like I said, we don't have anybody, and to prove that, when you've got Luke Doty out there, in my opinion, you've hit rock bottom.
Yeah, when your second and third wide receiver option at this
point on him earlier in the program.
Quarterback.
Yeah,
I don't see it. I mean, yeah, you're down to your last card. You don't have that, But I know a walk-on. I know a walk-on that would have performed better last night. I really do. I know a walk-on from Chapman High School.
Yeah, we got to find, obviously,
Sardo got
you
in
know,
on some action. He was in on a play, got
with
his
you
name
coming
called out.
back, with you coming back. Go ahead.
I didn't say nothing, Kevin. I think we might have had a little bad connection. Go ahead.
I was saying with Hughes coming back, if we get some linemen and some, another playmaker or two, and we need some running back. I mean, I think Sellers will do a great job at quarterback. I mean, he's got a lot to learn, but I mean, I think the future's bright, but the schedule gets worse. So,
when you talk about Sellers learning, from what I've seen when he's in there, he is just a natural. He has scored at every opportunity that he's been in, either by throwing or running. He is a natural. They say he is so intelligent that he took to that playbook like a duck to water. It's good that he didn't see a lot of action this year to keep him fresh and healthy. Rattler said, what I understand, he's got an extra year of eligibility. Somebody I heard him say. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm pretty sure I heard him say he's going to make a decision whether to come back. Like, dude, see you later. Look to the future with Lenore Sellers before this kid gets frustrated. He's not going to stick around like DeCarrion Joyner did. DeCarrion Joyner could have left South Carolina and went somewhere else and had a productive career.
Absolutely.
Really, anywhere.
Let me say one more thing. You brought up, I had a good point there, and I just kind of zoned out there. I was talking to one of our listeners here and stuff. There was talking about Lenore Sellers. I was reading earlier today just some chatter online, and people are saying, why in the world last week I believe we burned his red shirt by playing him in his fourth game against Kentucky on some, just design runs and such, and then you do that to not even use him at all versus Clemson. It's kind of weird. Now maybe their math is off and we didn't burn his red shirt. I don't know, but I mean, if he's in there, sort of like, I figured we might try and use him sort of like we did Gilmore back in 2009 when he was playing both ways, offense and defense, and brought him in that last game, and they were preparing for him to try and come in and run it, and we threw it way over the top to Jeffrey to really get the offense going in that game.
Put our last.
As we've got a comment come in that says, Daniel Leonard says, bowl projection for the Gamecocks, the Toilet Bowl, the Tidy Bowl, our most commonly visited bowl. We're back again, boys.
Do you think we'll be favored in that game?
No, the swirl going down into the drain is too much.
No. Somebody will probably drop a Yule log on us.
about South Carolina, have you guys looked at our schedule next year? I looked at it last night.
Yeah,
and it was just unreal.
We'll pull it up here while y'all are talking.
Like an obituary column.
I mean, Steve, we play at Alabama. I mean, we play Alabama next year. We play Oklahoma next year. We play LSU next year. We play Ole Miss next year. We'll play Kentucky. Play Missouri. I mean, it's just. Play Clemson, it's just like Oklahoma. I mean, it's unreal who we play.
So we start Saturday, August 31st with Old Dominion Monarchs.
I like the Akron Zips.
The Akron Zips, the Wofford Terriers. Now they have not they have not set date and time on any of the rest except for Clemson, which we know will be the last game of the year at Clemson. So, but you're right. At Alabama, at Kentucky, which Kentucky, by that time will be on their annual start of 6-0 and then lose the rest of their game. That's their yearly tradition, sort of like we were in the mid 2000s there. We're at Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma's lost their offensive coordinator today to Mississippi State. So, potentially we'll go in there, and Oklahoma does like to blow some games inexcusably at home. So, LSU at home, but it really hasn't mattered. I don't know that we beat them yet, so don't know that it matters. Ole Miss, I mean, that's going to be a tough draw at home. Missouri, I don't know what they got coming back. Texas A&M at home under a new coach.
They're showing out this year though.
and then Vanderbilt at Vandy. Maybe they'll actually have a stadium built by then. But you're pretty much, if you throw Vanderbilt in there, you're looking at 4 guaranteed wins, and then you're again hunting for 2 games out of this gauntlet.
I mean, who
be able
knows
to
if we
come
can
up
beat the Akron Zips? Who knows? They may come down here and zippity doodah us. You never know.
Well,
And
there has been
the old Dominion Monarchs. Hey, Belvedere, come here, boy. Feast on some chicken.
Well, did you see where Texas A&M had offered or were in talks with Stoops from Kentucky, and then after they beat Louisville yesterday, he said he couldn't leave Kentucky. Did y'all read that?
Yeah, he went to the Tommy Bowden School of Contract Negotiations. He had no intention of going down there into that mess of a thing unless they really backed up the Brinks truck and
I wish Carolina would
a big fat salary.
At that before they hired Muschamp or Muschamp as I like to call him. They should have stooped real low and went after one of the Stoop brothers. You know, they're great coaches. They win wherever they go. You know, or,
oh yeah.
Well, you know, they've built stuff and they are very successful coaches. So, throw it up there, Kevin. Oops, our connection was lost on my side. So,
yeah, Old Dominion was a 6-6 football team this year. So, technically, they won more than we did. So, we'll see how it goes. But JB was
Daniel makes a good point up there.
Go ahead.
Daniel makes a good point with his text. This fact.
Beamer has a worse record than Muschamp through 3 seasons. If Beamer has another losing season in 2024, is he gone?
Factoid that I haven't considered. He says Beamer is a worse record than Muschamp.
They asked Beamer last
I don't
night
think so. I think the fan base loves him. I think they like him. He's energetic. You know, I think they'll extend
He said the state of the program is best it's ever been.
Yeah, I think that the difference between Muschamp and the difference between Beamer, 2 things. Number one is talent level that Muschamp had after 3 seasons is higher than what Beamer has after 3 seasons. A lot of it, Muschamp just really left the program bare bones in a lot of ways.
But I want to tell you something.
Really, if Beamer doesn't go through the transfer portal and get Rattler, where are we at? I mean, we're potentially last year 3-9, 2-10, and this year even worse than 5-7.
Well, he needs to go after every lineman that he can get in that portal this year. You know, I would focus so highly on linemen, offensively and defensively. I don't care where they played at. If they've got size, give me some 360-pound fat boys on the offensive line. Go to an I formation, 4th and 1. We line up in a shotgun. I know you hate that, Kevin, as much as I do. Why in the world do you line up 5 yards and then you got to get 6 yards? Take a bad snap and everything else. And now they can't get under center because they'll mess up the snap because they're not used to that. So go back to old-fashioned smash mouth football. The fans like high-scoring stuff, and that's why we're at where we're at now with these spread offenses and stuff. They want to see.
Steve continues to freeze up a little bit in signal over there at the Pigpen.
What did he ask, Kevin? JB, say it again.
Beamer said that the program is the best. Is in the best.
I've got everything. We get some donations in here.
Coming in this year.
Steve doesn't really hear us until about a half a minute later when his internet catches up. Because he's got a freaking potato for a router over there.
That's why I keep talking over him, I believe.
It is.
I can get some donations.
We need to
Well,
get
if I can get some donations.
some new internet.
I'm just asking for some donations for folks to send me a care package over here so I can afford to buy a router. I mean, after all, this is my show. Kevin may control it from over in Greer, with the headquarters doing all the engineering. But he can continue his own show, but he'll have to take that Pigpen logo down. Trademark pending.
State of the program. Our coach says here, state of the program is best it's ever been. Sounds like what y'all call Daboisms, except Dabo does have 2 natties. Yes, he does. And he had the very good fortune of playing at a time when Florida State, Miami, and half the rest of that conference was down. But that's another thing for another day.
And they stayed healthy. They stayed healthy. Nobody got hurt. Nobody ever got hurt. And you get to the end of the year, the playoff time, you've got a fresh bunch with no injuries.
That's true. And the thing, too, I would love to see them play an SEC schedule. They're good against SEC teams.
They are.
Like when they won their national championships, they beat the Alabama. But the thing that
play it week in and week out.
Exactly. They didn't play the LSUs and the Ole Miss and
well, they got all of them full of pumped up on that Osterine stuff that they were talking about there for a while.
So I mean, I give them credit. Don't get me wrong. They beat who they beat. Hey, that ain't the kids' fault who played. They don't do the schedule, but sometimes that's the only thing that bothers me. I mean, I think Clemson's got a good program, but I wish that they would play a little better teams. But like I said, they can't control who they play, so. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like to play some. I wish we wouldn't have left the ACC now.
For real. Well, I've tried. I don't think we have anybody else. Tried to recruit a couple Clemson people to come in and join us on our side, and everybody's shy. They're very shy, Steve.
Well,
we can't see that on your potato router. What does that say?
Well, see, we do have one that keeps texting and all, but they like to hide behind the keyboard. Let's get on the microphone, make it public with your
AC&C. We have Daniel Leonard to come in today. AC&C went 6-4 versus SEC this year. That is true.
But play them 8 or 9
if you played that SEC schedule every week in SEC, I'm going to tell you what, Clemson boys, even though they won yesterday, they woke up this morning sore because they knew they had been in a tough, hard-fought ball game. Yeah. They could have played Kentucky. They could have played Tennessee. They could have played LSU and then faced Alabama or Mississippi State or LSU. I already said LSU. I'm redundant there. But on and on like that, week in and week out. And let's see how that fares. Please join the SEC as the rubber is. You don't want no part of it. You won't win a natty. You won't win a natty in it. You won't win a natty in the SEC.
You'll be sitting at home with us on Christmas break.
Yeah, you'll be sitting at home on a toilet bowl with us watching Clemson football while I'm dropping a deuce.
Saying that mine flies quicker than yours.
Something about it. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like I said, all the things that I said, Coach Henson, Elton,
runs right
Justin, hey, congratulations.
There's okay, Big A, give us a call.
Yeah. JB, we appreciate you coming on with us here.
Yeah, JB, thank you, buddy.
And
we'll
see if we can get anybody else that wants to come on here with us as we
coming at you, Elton. I want to hear Dabo's side of the story and how much paint and fertilizer you're going to be able to sell to Clemson University in the coming weeks now. Yeah, Clemson beat more ranked teams than we did this year. I mean, I bet we probably played more ranked teams than y'all did, though. That ranked teams. I mean, I know we didn't beat them, as Elton Stat says, but how many ranked teams did we play? If Justin is still listening, he's probably gone to bed now, or he put on that Green Bay Star Trek fleet suit that he had on last night.
We got someone
Had the
else
green
trying to
on. I
join
thought it
here.
was
Let's
like
see
the
if
Green Galaxy.
these
It looked like a
guys can
skin-tight
figure
cement
out
suit.
how to
Bring them in. Bring them in.
Coach Henson, I think it's him trying to join in. I don't know if I sent him the link. Let's see if he can figure out how to grant permissions. Elton's trying to call in. Let me
10
grab
o'clock
Elton
on a
here.
school night. He should be in bed.
Hey, let's grab Elton here. He's trying to call in. Elton,
I
are you
ain't
here?
grabbing Elton. You grab Elton.
In a salute to Tiger fans everywhere, it's the song that shakes the Southland. Tiger Rag! Welcome in, Clemson Tigers. Welcome in to another Pigpen exclusive of Clemson Tiger football. Hey guys,
Trying to see if who all got in.
Good morning, Elton. I bet you wore orange to church today, didn't you?
well, I gotta admit, if I had went to church, I would have wore orange. But I have had on orange all day, today and yesterday, as a matter of fact. No matter what would have happened with my Tigers, I would have still wore orange.
Coach, are you joined in with us here? We keep trying to get Coach in here too. He keeps trying to join. You got to grant permissions to your webcam and your microphone, folks that are trying to get in on it with us. Go ahead, Elton.
I hope Coach Henson gets in real quick. Okay, Steve, you wanted me to call, so I'm calling in.
That's right. And I'm going to be quiet because I listened to a replay of last night's broadcast, and I did step on a lot of toes because I was just excited. So the floor is yours, Dabo fan.
Well, I just
Kevin, show his picture.
You know, after that very first play that Scoopin scored, I thought, oh boy, this is going to be great. And then 2 plays later, when we ended up with an interception, I thought, oh, this is going to go downhill in a hurry. And then it just kind of lulled the rest of the game. Had it not been for a great kicker kicking personal records, we would have been sitting 7-7 with y'all. I mean, nobody could make a dang touchdown. And like I say, had it not been for the great foot of Wise, it could have been a lot closer than it was.
Coach Henson, are you with us now, or do you still?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Come on in.
I figured it out, boys.
With us is Coach Justin Henson. Let's see.
Hey, man, I was trying to go by an alias.
Well, he ain't trying to go by
I
that.
just call him J8. Coach J, or Tyler from Spartanburg. Tyler from Camp
call me that guy.
He's Tyler from Camp Beller.
No, I'm with you, Elton. The problem is I know how bad our offense is. So even after that pick, I still was concerned it was going to be a defensive struggle. And that's kind of the thing. And I think that's why we ran the ball 46 times. Because I'm not sure if anybody's come out and said it. I didn't have time today to go and read or go back and listen to coaches' interviews, but I just kind of feel like they felt we had the lead. South Carolina's offense couldn't do anything because their offensive line was so bad, and all we had to do is control the clock. I mean, let's be honest, Clemson's not a good team this year.
No, absolutely
They're not.
They're not. Exactly.
I'll admit that. I mean, y'all expect more, and that's what the good thing about your program. You expect more.
Yeah,
it's a good
100%.
thing. Expect more.
Well, I said that on the Big Ten show the other night. Is that I was worried. That's why I haven't said anything all week and even all season, because Clemson is just not playing Clemson ball like they have in the past. I mean, they're still a decent team, but they're not what they used to be, and that kind of scares me all season long as to what's going to happen at the last game against Carolina. How's this going to work out? Luckily, it worked out to where we came out on top this year, but it's kind of a toss up because, as Coach Henson just said, we're not good this year, and offense, all we could do is just run the ball and hope that, we could break through the line. The defense is what actually held the game for the Tigers.
Yeah, and you're right. And Elton, I think that's kind of the thing with Clemson this year is I kind of misspoke. Like I said, Clemson's not very good this year. Clemson's defense actually is. And you go and look at some of these freshman defensive backs that Clemson has. That's kind of what was missing last year, and what caught Clemson last year is they were bad at DB. Like, let's just be honest. And you've got Khalil Barnes. He had a great game, especially a great first 3 plays last night. Shelton Lewis, what game was that? North Carolina, the Georgia Tech game. Shelton Lewis had a pick 6. They've got some good DBs that are going to be coming, and I think that's going to be the difference maker in what makes this defense a top 30 versus a top 10, top 15 like they were this year.
And Dabo didn't waste any time playing these young players in South Carolina.
Exactly.
For some reason,
Exactly,
doesn't want
Steve.
to.
If the Tigers could put together a decent offense, then they would be back in the good spot again, because the defense is young and they are coming up, and I think the defense is what's going to continue to hold next year for the Tigers. But if they could get a good offense lined up and going, they'd be back up in the top again. I just don't see it happening though.
Yeah, and that one thing y'all just clicked on that I've always thought that has been characteristics of Carolina versus Clemson, at least, y'all have never been afraid to play freshmen if the talent's there. You're willing to take the minuses with the plus and do everything. Where Carolina, it seems, no matter what they have, they do not play freshmen unless it is just an absolute freak of nature. And even Harbor, they've been reluctant to bring on, like Elton said, at some point put him on a go route and let him run underneath one or something. It just seems like the Carolina's always been afraid to play those freshmen. And unfortunately, they'd rather play an upperclassman that some places don't act like they have a clue what's going on. I mean,
now, maybe you're right, Kevin. And kind of one of the things that and this is just me talking at this point, like I have nothing to back this, but like, that might be why Clemson was out recruiting South Carolina for a while, is because, hey, if you come here, you have a chance to play as a freshman.
Well, that and $100 bills, but
from New Springs, right?
Now that the NIL is there, it's all negated. Even Clemson don't have A&M and some of that big money.
Well, if we're going to talk about money, and
we got Elton on the line, so he's someone that knows money.
But this NIL deal and the transfer portal now, Coach Sweeney is not a big fan of the transfer portal. Eventually,
correct.
Yeah.
So
he does. But with the NIL, that kind of, you got some programs out there that rake in millions upon millions. No, look no further than Texas A&M, what they forked out donor-wise to get rid of Jimbo.
I mean, when your alumni,
you can't tell me programs like that haven't been taking care of these kids all these years either. So,
when your alumni present you $150 million
how much money
check,
did they pay
not
to
hard.
buy out Jimbo Fisher?
It's like $80 million.
Give me the figure.
They're paying him $26,000 a day for months.
Yeah, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Well, I tell you, talking about the Gamecocks, I'm glad to see that the Chapman Panthers had 3 Gamecocks that
Eventually,
were.
I'll buy Wi-Fi.
No, wait a minute. The Gamecocks had 3 Chapman Panthers that were on the sidelines last night in Andrew Colasurdo, DJ Twitty, and Ben Rollins. Now, I didn't get to see Ben or DJ in the game, but I saw number 41, Andrew Colasurdo, on special teams. He actually had a penalty called on him. I think the first time that I heard him actually mention his name, but I kept an eye on those 3 to see if I could see them, and he was the only one I actually got to see. A great bunch of kids, and I'm glad that we got some Panthers down there, even if it is in Chickenville.
Although I could never get the name right. He got in on the action. I think he's on the punt team. I heard him call his name out last night.
He is.
There for you. I'm
Andrew
proud of that.
Thompson, though.
Always get the hometown kids in there. And
Kevin, are they going in and out on you? Does Campobello and Greer have way better internet than Inman?
Apparently so. Elton's on the phone with me, but he's just responding to Steve. But Steve's just too dang cheap to go out and buy the equipment necessary to get himself hooked up right.
Fair enough. I mean, you and HD, big dog.
Kevin, if you will, send him a text of exactly what he needs to go out and buy, like you do for me for Upstate Prepcast. Just send it to him and say, "Here, go buy this," and maybe he can raise enough money down there in Campton to take care of it. I mean, him being the mayor of Campton, maybe somebody will donate.
Yeah, he is the mayor. He just needs to impose a tax down there and stuff, and he'll be able to do it. Now, more like he'll go out in front of Best Buy with a change can, go begging, "Change, sir, change. You got any change? Got any change?"
No, what he'll do is he'll go out there and put on a red vest and have a bell, and he'll be ringing it alongside others, and hope that they'll give to him instead of the other one.
Let's see.
Probably would.
He's back here with us. Are you back, Steve?
I did. Yeah. At one time, Elton. As a matter of fact, I'm a highly rated.
In here on his potato.
On his potato. Well, guys, hey, listen, it's 12 minutes after 10.
Hard. I got a shell fragment in my eye. And that's how I got my Purple Heart. And I've retired with full disability from the Salvation Army too. Ranked, amazingly, I rose to the rank of general nuisance.
I don't doubt
I believe that.
Well, guys, we appreciate y'all coming on with us. Like I said, I believe we're about ready to wrap things up.
It sounds so interesting.
We do want to, before y'all leave, though, we did want to, since y'all were the victors and such, we wanted to play your fight song before you left, and we're going to bring it to you right now. This is we recorded the band last night, and let's bring them in here and let them play, guys.
Well,
is it going to play now? My internet. And now my internet wants to act up. It's just not a technical great night here inside.
Maybe it just close.
Forget about it.
Listen, I'll play a song for y'all. Womp, 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 womp.
That was the best one we had lined up.
Y'all lost.
Well,
have a good night.
It is what it is. Well, guys,
hey, I love y'all. All jokes aside, everything I said tonight was in jest.
Merry Christmas.
Yep, Merry Christmas. I will never talk junk to a Carolina fan because I understand. I lived through Tommy Bowden, and it's been the best years of Clemson fans' lives. So, no, I mean I didn't live through him. Yeah, I do. I guess I did live through Tommy West. I just don't remember him, but I remembered the Bowden era. So, I get it, guys.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Hey, can I sell you some turf?
I mean, I think I already sent the PO over for it.
This is a no solicitations unless you want to be a sponsor.
Now, Coach,
and somebody up the price on it or something. Elton, what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll talk.
All right, guys. Well, thank y'all for joining us tonight, and hopefully by the time we have our next cast, that we will find a way to upgrade some of our remote hosts here and get things more lined up and stuff. And we, like I said, we appreciate you, Coach Ensign, for joining us tonight.
Hey, welcome back, Steve.
I think we're just going to take this opportunity just to go ahead and head on out. So, guys, thank you for watching tonight. Clemson, the victors this year, 16-7. we do want to leave. We will leave you one last thing, guys. This is the Clemson fans' prayer, and we'll play this and then get on out of here. Steve, as we'll see if this actually goes through.
Every head be bowed, please. We thank you, oh great gridiron gods in the sky, for this beautiful evening of football here in the Palmetto State. May the best team win. In Frank Howard's name, we say, all in.
That's the Clemson fans' prayers. We're going to head on out of here, folks. Steve, it's good being with you, and we'll see until next time. You've been
Crank
in the
up that
Pigpen.
Capabella convalescent all kazoo.
You've been watching In the Pigpen with Kevin Jackson, and for about half of it, Steve Roper. Until next time, we'll see you guys.